Have you ever heard of Vril? It's an old concept rooted in theosophy, Nazi occultism, esoteric Hitlerism, and other fringe occult schools of thought like that has had a great resurgence in the popular culture in recent years thanks to all these memes about Vril, Hyperborea, Agartha, all of these esoteric Aryan Nazi concepts that have had a resurgence in memes. Now, the original idea of Vril was very complex. There was a Vril age and a new race that was going to come from it. But the modern interpretation of Vril, what modern people take from it, is that Vril is a sort of spiritual and bodily energy. And what's interesting about all these memes and jokes about Vril is that if you listen to the way people talk about Vril, you can gain Vril, you can lose Vril, things can drain your Vril, you can acquire new Vril by doing certain things. It's almost like a fluid that you take in or something you charge your battery with. This language sounds very familiar if you know anything about esotericism, spirituality, or just the history of religion or even language over the years. You go around the world and you find lots of different cultures have their own Vril systems. The Chinese have Qi, the Indians have prana, the Hebrews have Reich, and the Greeks have pneuma. And then you go from ancient religions to modern science and pseudoscience, and you get a whole wealth of new energy systems. You have Freud's libido, Reich's orgone. So what even are these systems? What is Vril? What is Qi? Are they the same thing? Are they different? And why is it that human cultures throughout history have always been fascinated by and drawn to this idea of bodily and psychic energy? The idea that our bodies are energetic systems, and that by controlling the flow of these energies, we can perhaps heal illnesses or better empower ourselves. We're going to be digging into all that and more on today's deep dive into human energy systems in pseudoscience. Now, my name is Taylor G. Northcutt. I'm a professional physiognomist and face reader, which means that my job is to tell things about people and their personalities and their mental health and what partner they might be best with or what job they might be best at from their physical appearance, especially from their face. And so I spend all day working with people on the intersection and overlap between their bodies and souls, how the two affect each other, and how it is one holistic system. And so when you're doing research on this sort of stuff, you come across a lot of these energetic concepts. And so if you were to order an analysis or consultation from me, link is in the description, I would be using a variety of different systems, one of which is Chinese face reading. Chinese face reading comes from traditional Chinese medicine, and one of the most important concepts in traditional Chinese medicine is this idea of qi, of this flowing energy system within the body. The idea was that you had different qi vessels going throughout the body, and you had different nodes of qi energy. And by affecting these nodes, you could then alter things within the body. If you have a problem in, say, your spleen or your liver, well, there's this little node here, and this will help flow that qi energy to that area. This is where acupuncture comes from, actually. Then you go a little southwest to India, then you find the system of prana, which is a very similar system of energy. Lots of interesting parallels here. The vessel of prana is your kundalini, which runs down your spine, and the nodes of prana are your 7 chakras, which run from the crown to the root. Now, these are the two most famous, well-known, and thoroughly developed systems of energy and energetic flow in human cultures and in these intersections of medicine and mysticism that you find in the Orient. But this idea that there's some sort of mystical human energy that flows through us, that is fluid, it flows, and it goes through channels and vessels and nodes. This is not unique to the Orient, and it's a very intuitive idea. Why? Well, because in many ways it is objectively true. We are, in fact, a fluid system. We have blood vessels that run through us that get pumped out from the heart. We also have a system of lymph vessels and lymph nodes that do, in fact, cleanse us of impurities and help us to remain healthy and energized. And you can, in fact, get blockages in your lymph nodes that need to be dealt with in order to get your energy flowing. But by and large, that's solely on a material level. A lot of these systems of energy deal with a more abstract or spiritual level. So what is spiritual energy? Well, we need to look at the root word of spirit. Spirit comes from the Latin spiritus, which means breath. This is also the root of words like respiration, perspiration, inspiration, meaning to breathe life into. And in so many human cultures, we see that breath and life and breath and spirit, they're all seen as one concept. God makes Adam from clay, and then he breathes the breath of life into him. And in so many languages, you see that the word for breath is the same as the word for spirit. You go to Greek, and their word for spirit is pneuma, which is their word for wind. You go to Hebrew, and the word for spirit is ruach, which is the word for wind. I speak Arabic, and in Arabic, the word for spirit is ruh, and the word for wind is riyah. It's the same root. So there's this strong linguistic connection throughout history in all these different cultures between breath and life, and breath and spirit. And this makes sense, of course, because if you don't breathe, you die. Breathing is necessary for human life. But more specifically, I think that it has to do with the full body respiration, with cellular respiration. This is one of my theories that I've gotten into during my practice of doing physiognomy and face reading with clients. I've begun to suspect that everything having to do with our breath, our lungs, our throat, even our nose, chin, and jaw can affect our whole body greatly. Because if you affect the input of oxygen and the output of carbon dioxide, if you affect in any way that cycle of respiration, you're going to affect every single cell in the body, because every single cell in the body lives off of that oxygen that you bring in. So if respiration is affected, the whole body is affected, and the mind is affected as well. This is why I believe mewing and jaw surgery and these sorts of things that realign your facial structure such that you can more easily breathe, and you aren't mouth breathing anymore, and your nasal passage is maybe a little clearer, a little more open, can and will then affect your personality, often for the better. Now, we're starting to understand that there's a physiological root to all these energy systems. They're inspired by the working of blood and lymph vessels and breath especially, and that this general idea of breath as life, life and breath as spirit is pretty common throughout cultures, both East and West, but it's only in the East that we really see these strong formalized systems of it, of the specific name for the energy and the specific ways that it flows. We don't really see that in the West as much. There's this broad idea of life as spirit, of the breath spirit, but there aren't that many specifics given to it until you get to the early modern age. The real beginning of a lot of these modern Western systems of energy, as it's often used by New Age woo-woo people, comes from the 1700s in Germany with a physician by the name of Franz Mesmer. Now, Mesmer believed that there was a certain magnetic fluid that flowed within human beings and affected our health, but also our mind, our spirit, even our sexuality. And he believed that he had discovered a way by which, through hand motions and big, great shows, a trained practitioner could manipulate the magnetic fluid, the animal magnetism, as he called it, within another person in order to heal them or produce other magnificent effects on them. And this was very, very popular for a time, especially with the French aristocracy and the other elites of Europe. They were big into mesmerism, as it was called, which is actually the origin of the word mesmerize, because they were mesmerized by him and his other magnetizers, as he called his followers. So this was a pretty big trend in Europe for a while. And then one day in 1841, a Scottish surgeon named James Braid went and saw an exhibition of animal magnetism in action, and that is when he coined the word hypnotism. So the idea of hypnotism and hypnosis comes from animal magnetism. He realized that Franz Mesmer and his followers were not manipulating an actual literal magnetic fluid flowing physically within the body, but rather they were working with and toying with the psyche of their patients, and that inasmuch as they were healing people, it was psychosomatic. And Braid realized that that boy doesn't need animal magnetism, that boy needs therapy. Hypnotherapy specifically. And so this then began the European craze in the science of hypnotism and hypnosis and hypnotherapy. And who was first trained as a hypnotist and a hypnotherapist? Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis and modern psychology and psychiatry as a whole. So you're starting to see now how psychology, the logos, the thought and science of the psyche, of the soul, comes out of this energy work from Franz Mesmer. And while Freud mainly dealt with early life stuff, ideas of childhood trauma, sexual development, these different phases, parental relations, the energetic thinking was still very much there. He termed it, instead of animal magnetism, libido. He believed in not a physical, literal fluid flowing throughout you, but in a psychological, psychic energy of sorts within your mind, your libido, that you could invest in other things that could be charged up, that could be drained. And we're hearing this energy language coming back. This libido is starting to sound a lot like chi, a lot like Vril. And Freud's students would take this and run with it and come full circle back to mesmerism in a sense, with Wilhelm Reich and his theory of orgone. Wilhelm Reich was a student of Freud. My friend Chris Gabriel of Meme Analysis has an excellent lecture on Wilhelm Reich that you should watch. Link is in the description. And in that video, he talks a lot about Wilhelm Reich's view of libido energy, or as Reich termed it, orgone energy, which comes from a mixture of organism and orgasm. And being a Freudian, the idea was that this energy was very sexual, but that it was not solely sexual. It was not just your sex drive or not just your lust, but your entire animal energy, which includes your sex drive and your desire to procreate and to generate, but it's also your creativity, your willpower, your will to live, your will to power in a Nietzschean sense. And he believed that childhood traumas or neuroses or other psychological ailments could create blockages or kinks in this energy, like a kink in a hose that blocks the flow of water. This is where the word kink comes from. You say you have kinky sex. That means you have messed up sex. That means that your energy flow is blocked and you can't have normal, healthy sexual relations. So you have to bring out the whips and chains and the goofy stuff. And later in life, Reich took the orgone idea and he ran with it. He invented orgonite, which is this resin blend of wood and metal that could attract orgone energy and make your plants grow bigger and make you healthier, more sexually vital. He actually then believed that he could use the orgone to create rain, to generate rain from clouds. This is what the Kate Bush cloud busting song and video is about. Go watch it, one of my favorite songs. And while Wilhelm Reich was arrested and suppressed and killed by the US government, his ideas penetrated the culture, especially the counterculture, very deeply. And now they are spread all throughout society. And now in the post-Freud, post-Reich, post-Boomer counterculture era, where the counterculture won and became the main culture, our society, art, language, they're all deeply penetrated, no gross pun intended, by these very Freudian, Reichian ideas of energy. The occultist and the chaos magicians, the kind of guys you talk to on the X-board of 4chan, will talk about loosh, which is your magical energy that you can sacrifice by giving attention to something. You can use it to charge a sigil, but if you spend all day on your phone, or if you're gooning or other stuff, then you lose your loosh. Your loosh gets drained. And memes are actually cognitohazards. They're like evil magic sigils that try to take your loosh and drain it towards someone else. Then of course you have the aforementioned Vril, which is like a special variant of all these energy systems, but for racists. So maybe you think that Vril is just for white people, and if you're a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Aryan, well, you have extra Vril, and Hitler can charge your Vril or whatever. It gets a little extra crazy there. More on the normie side, we have rizz. Rizz is a great example of mesmerism and animal magnetism in action, how this thing that draws people, this magnetism that people have that draws people to them both sexually and socially, and even in some cases politically, it comes from this free, open flow of energy. Convincing someone to follow you in a political movement or convincing someone to get you a job, it's very much a process of seduction. And it all comes from the same free, open flow of energy. Now, is this a literal energetic field, something like electromagnetism, like how Reich thought about it? Or is this an actual magical magnetic fluid flowing through our bodies, like how the Chinese or Indians or Mesmer thought of it? I suspect not. I think a lot of this has to do with psychology. It's a literalization of psychological processes, stuff that's all in our head. But I do think there probably is a real spiritual, energetic element there that we just don't understand. But unless there are double-blind studies done on it that can show that there's something like that going on, I'm not going to hang my hat on that or die on that hill anytime soon. And I think that if you interpret the idea of rizz through this energetic lens, then it makes even more sense that you would then also interpret the more normie meme of aura through this lens as well. And it fits with this idea of being confident, happy, free-flowing, no kinks or no neuroses in your mind. you're not overly self-conscious, you're not sacrificing your energy to these energy parasites that surround you, whether they're toxic people or political influencers or rage bait accounts on Instagram. If you aren't sacrificing your libido, your orgone, your chi, your vril, your loosh, whatever, to these evil outside things, if you're investing them in good things, in yourself, in your family, in your loved ones, in your God, then you're going to be happier, you're going to be healthier, and you're going to get better returns on it. You're going to have, as the normies say, more vril, more rizz, and more aura if you live this way. Now, how exactly do you unblock your energetic flows? How is it that you can elevate your consciousness and gain more rizz, gain more aura? Well, everyone's different, and so the answer is different for everyone. We have different morphologies. We have different bodily shapes and sizes and ways of growing and developing physically. And these stem from our differing souls. We're all born with different souls, different spirits, different breaths or winds that flow within us and influence our bodies. And thus, they're going to flow in different ways for different people. How do you know how your energy is supposed to flow? How do you know whether you're going to really get your juices flowing by going to the gym, or painting a picture, or writing a poem, or starting a business? Well, like I said, I'm a physiognomist, and so I can tell all this stuff from your appearance alone, just the face and the side profile. If you want to get a consultation for yourself or even someone you know as a gift, check out my website, persopinsights.com. I have a lot of great packages there for relationships, business, spiritual growth, anything else you can imagine. Link is in the description, and I'm looking forward to working with you and getting your Vril charged up and energized so that you can enter Agartha. This has been Taylor from Persopa Insights, reminding you to always judge a book by its cover. Thank you for watching. That boy needs therapy, psychosomatic. That boy needs therapy, psychosomatic. That boy needs therapy, psychosomatic.